Okay, it is time, my friends. Let our grand journey begin. Hopefully I can make this game justice because it's really me what it feels like it, but hey, we heard the cover for that, aren't we? So, Final Fantasy V for the SNES. This is a freshly patched ROM with the RPGE version 1.1 translation patch. I am playing this on SNES 9X re-recording, which reminds me that I also want the Lua script up and running. There we go. Alright, this is an introductory video, so I will go for some extra length to cover some basic concepts. Things such as how event tiles function or the menu configurations Speedrun uses, very simple stuff. If you are wondering why I selected this emulator or how to set up the Lua script, there were a couple videos that went before this one that were primers on ROM basics and step manipulation, so it would be a good idea to go review those, particularly for the Lua script. Although, for the purposes of this guide, I will provide you with backups if you don't feel like doing step manipulation, but it's highly recommended that you do so. Please do step manip, I am begging you. All that said, I think we can get started here. I'm going to enable the input display so that you can follow along with what I am performing, but there isn't any difficult tech in this game. The most challenging input are half steps, and even then that's not really difficult. So you can press any button here on the intro credits and you will get booted from the sequence and into the game itself. As a formality, I'm just going to speed up through this place, through this dialogue as quickly as possible. This intro cutscene takes forever. It's 4 minutes of automatic unskippable dialogue, so you can start run and go make a sandwich if you want. I guess it's nice to have a bathroom break before anything happens. Okay, we got Boko here, but before doing anything, what I actually want to do is go make a save and reload, so that I can show you something. Presuming the emulator behaves. There we go. Now, back here at the dialog screen, we got this menu coming up instead. This screen only appears once you have a save file in your cartridge, so if you're wondering why, that's the reason. This is important because new game is how we assess timing for RTA. It's the most consistent way we have to know when a run starts. So timing begins from new game and ends when X3 fades to purple. So that's your speedrun there. Also, by pressing new game, the Lua script behaves properly as it should. I don't know why I don't ask too many questions. By the way, this is a slightly modified version of the Lua script that Samurai Goro provides on his website. I just had a friend remove most of the screen clutter so that it's not as painful to look at. Now we only have the relevant information for the step manipulation, which are formations, the danger rate, and the total step count, which are the orange numbers, the pink letters to the left, and the thing labeled as steps below the blue letters on the top right, respectively. So formations orange, danger rate the pink, and total step count below the blue number. Okay? Now, back with Boko, I want to show something regarding the danger rate on this area. Notice how on this next step I am supposed to take an encounter because the danger rate is reaching 0. But when I move, the encounter doesn't happen and the formations advance. This is a peculiarity of our Federer friend here. He is not going to trigger random encounters and the game is going to keep attempting and trying and it's just not going to happen. So just something to keep in mind. If you misstep during the intro sequence up until we reach the Paradise Cave, even if you recover the step route through half steps or something or other, you may have screwed up the formations due to how they behave on this portion, so gotta watch out for Boko. Is too powerful. Okay, let's undo all that mess and actually start the speedrun here. Before reaching Tycoon Meteor, you want to approach this corner here, go all the way to the left, touch the wall, and then come back. That's going to have 26 steps. When I say touch the wall, that is just a generalization. It's the visual cue I have to know what I need, where I need to go for a step route, because I don't count the steps. My brain is too slow for that, so I prefer having visuals to help me assess how many steps I actually have to take. So, for example here, if I shuffle around the corner, notice how nothing happens to the danger rate. The only thing that is going to affect the danger rate is player movement. When you move around, danger rate advances. So if you need to stop or something to assess the situation, you're free to do so. Like not even NPC movement will interrupt you, so there is no reason to be worried about that. Okay, this is Mount Boko here. Normally we would do a menu on this part, but this step route has a mandatory pause before the party escape, so we're going to wait until then. The default configurations work fine for the intro battle, so nothing to worry about there. Now, for the goblins, you want to very skillfully hold the A button before the battle starts. This is important because this is going to select the fight command frame perfectly. It's a command selected by default right now. So, if you can help it, you always want to hold the button ahead of time when selecting your actions, because the game is just blazes through that. So, that's how you can clear the battle efficiently. Those goblins are a joke, they only have 1 HP. So, not a concern at all. You're not going to die to them, at least not intentionally. Okay, we gotta... Oh, the legend, Bartz. No. We have to select a name here, and... you want a single character name, the shortest name possible. So what you want to do is go down, press B thrice, go up, press right twice, and select End. The naming menu is somewhat finicky, so just follow those inputs. And thus, B is Adventure Begins. Due to how characters are typed in this game, like, the dialog box is going to render each character individually, so when referencing Bartz's name, it's actually going to take all just the existing characters on his name into account for the dialog box. So it's going to finish typing the entire dialogue quicker the shorter his name is. So that was something to keep in mind. And it pretty much, but it's an optimization for the speedrun to give him the shortest name possible, because that is going to add up over the course of a 4-hour run. Now let's have a Golf Kidnap Lena here, and over here you can go behind the canopy and you can follow a zigzag pattern, and you will reach this hidden chest containing a phoenix down. This is purely a safety net, it's totally optional, you don't need it for the route, but it can come in handy for unintentional deaths, or say you need extra cash because you messed up a shopping list. Phoenix Downs sell for 500 gil, which is a significant sum for early game, so that's a nice safety net to have. Oh, before leaving, I also want to show that, notice how the danger rate never advanced while I was moving on this room? This is a safe room. As a rule of thumb, if there is an NPC in a room, the danger rate will not advance. So, as long as random encounters are not spawning, that means that the danger rate is never advancing, so you are free to misstep in this sort of area or in towns and not worry about messing up the step manipulation. But there's exceptions. Coincidentally, our boy Boko here, how he advances the danger rate even though no encounters can ever happen on the intro. Alright, before reaching the earthquake sequence, we need 8 steps. So you can head to this tile, or this tile, and what I like to do is go down, touch the wall, go left, touch the wall, bop bop, and reach the cutscene. So one more time. Go down, touch, 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 and start the sequence here. This is something I did fairly often for my step manipulation, because I like having walls stopping my movement, just freeze me completely, lest I risk overshooting the tile and messing up the step manipulation, which is a mistake I do fairly often, so... there will be times where there won't be a wall, however, and you will have to measure your steps carefully. Okay, as for the intro here, we got the goblins again. Oh yeah, I want to show off what happens if you don't hold the A button. Now here, I am holding, but notice how it was a lot slower. That's just something with this game. If you hold it out, then you get the fast input. So you just have to like constantly remind yourself what is your next action in a battle to get through that, to select that input quickly. Okay, third and last part of the intro sequence. We want to be between these two desert corner tiles, and then go down, touch the wall here, go back up, and then repeat this walking cycle. And this is going to add 32 steps to the total step count, if I recall correctly. And now we have reached the Paradise Cave, and also the first half step of the speedrun! Oh, and this is also arguably the hardest half step in the game, because you have to perform this on Boko running speed, instead of the normal walking pace that you had on these overworld segments. So it's going to be a good learning experience. Okay, what is a half step? A half step is prompting a menu on the same frame as you move into a tile on the overworld. So that's going to cancel the step from registering. So here, for example, notice how I am at 150 total steps on the top right. If I move to the next tile, it advances normally to 151, which is how the danger rating usually advances, right? But if I half a step, you can do this by holding the X button while transitioning from one tile to the next. So here I am going to press right, and immediately I am going to hold X and wait for the menu to come up. This is going to buffer the input and allow us to do this frame perfectly to successfully perform a half step. Right? So now I'm going to come back out from that menu, and notice my total step count is still at 150 total steps. So we successfully canceled that step. We performed the movement, but without advancing the danger rate. So half steps are an essential tool for step routing, because it's like the one way you have to recover steps. Let's say you misstepped and you are at the end of a dungeon, unfortunately an encounter didn't spawn, then on the overworld segment after that dungeon, you can perform a couple half steps to regain the step route. So it's an unavoidable tech, but very useful for sure. Okay, let's do that one more time. Now, this is the pause menu I was talking about earlier. This is where we're going to perform the configuration. And just so we are on the same page, I am going to run through every setting here, because we never go back to the configuration, at least not optimally. So I just want you to know for sure why the selections are done, just in case you feel like toying with this for some reason. Okay, first off we got battle mode. You know how when you select let's say a black magic spell, you enter a sub-menu, and then until you confirm the spell you want, then the world freezes, like nothing moves, no enemies attack, your ATBs don't advance until you confirm your input, right? That is what wave mode does. Active allows enemies to run wild. The ATBs will keep advancing, enemies will keep hitting you, and as you will notice in this speedrun, we have a remarkably fragile party, so it's important to avoid any unnecessary damage if we can help it, and wave mode just gives us better control over the battlefield. Active can be handy during death transitions. Puroboros is a notable example. All the enemies die at once, and you just gotta wait it out until they die because there's nothing to do. But if you have active, you could do inventory management as they die. But for this route, we just stick with wave mode because it's not really. There's no much of a point to doing inventory management in death transitions. Wave mode is safer, consistent, we're using that. Battle speed. Your first instinct here might be, oh, I gotta select battle speed 1 because this is speedrun, dude, I need to go fast. And you will be right, but for the incorrect reasons. What battle speed does is it makes enemies faster, and it also gives you less time to select your actions before the ATBs advance again. Because you might notice that if you have battle speed, the default battle speed 3, there is a bit of a delay from when your turn comes up until the enemies start attacking again. So battle speed also influences that. The sweet spot for the speedrun is battle speed 4, because this is going to give you 1 second of waiting, and it also keeps the enemies slow enough that we can measure their agilities properly. So this is just ideal. It's reasonably short, it gives you enough time, but it also keeps the speedrun going. If you find yourself with enemies hitting you before you take action, you might want to pick a battle speed 5, because this adds 2 seconds of waiting before the ATBs keep advancing again. Battle speed 6 is overkill, it's a slog, it just takes forever, it's from 3 to 4 seconds of waiting before something happens, so Battle Speed 4 is ideal. Battle Speed 5, you one more time. Message Speed, you want this on 1. As far as I know, this only influences the preemptive strike, the back attack, and runaway prompts in battle, like just the conditions of the battle. Because I don't think this affects dialogue or the magic spell announcement, like the thing that's typed at the top of the screen whenever you cast a spell. So you just want this on 1. Command setting, this is going to shape your commands in battle. We already saw Windows style. It was the fight command up top, then 2 empty slots, and then the item slot. And you can also press right or left to select defense or row respectively. You want short, because this is going to shape it so that you have a command per direction on the D-pad. So let's say with a knight, you have a fight up top, you have guard on the left, your free command slot on the right, and the item slot down below. And this is better because it allows you to select the free slot an input faster than you would with Windows style, and it also allows you to buffer the defense. The defense command, because what this does is it also puts defense on the right shoulder and row on the left shoulder, so you can just hold it out and buffer it like we would holding the A button to select the fight command. So you can press R and then A, and you would select that quickly. So short is optimal, you should get used to it. Gosh, you can turn it off if you are a god at video games, but just leave that on. Sound, then we go cursor. Oh yeah, we want this on memory for sure. This is going to save the last input you made on your previous round. So let's say I threw a line scroll with a ninja. The next time that character's turn comes up, it's going to have the throw command and then the line scrolls pre-selected because of memory cursor. So you can just hold A and select it really quickly. And we repeat options, yeah, very often on this speedrun, so memory is useful. Reset defaults you to the fight command on every turn, so it doesn't have any applications. Re-equip, we want this on empty. Optimum selects the equipments with the highest values in your inventory, so say the things with the highest attack or the highest defense. We want empty because equipping those may not be necessarily useful. Sometimes we prefer more nuanced stats like agility, and at least for the early game, it's important that we don't equip items because we're going to spam rods for breaking to kill bosses, and we want them available on the item pool. So if you select optimize, then it's going to keep insisting on equipping those rods, and we don't want that, because if a character equips the rod and then they die on battle, then that rod will be unavailable until we revive the character, and at that point that will give a boss an opening to kill you. So empty is better. Optimizing manually is fast anyway. The rest of these are just preferences. It's not like changing the window color is going to affect RNG or something. That's not a thing in this game. So we can leave that alone. Now, one more time. Battle mode wait, battle speed 4 or 5 if you want more time. Message speed 1, command setting short, cursor memory, re-equip empty. Alright? We good then. Let us continue here. As a reminder, we want 150 total steps before reaching the Pirate's Cave. That means we are on pace with the step route. This dungeon is a little tricky. You got some winding paths here, so just walk around those crevices. And here we have the first event tile. Oh boy. I guess we already walked over one because of the quick sequence, but this one is more noticeable because it can damage the step route. So, event tiles are what rule things happening in Final Fantasy V, such as cutscenes or dialogue or a door opening. If something dynamic happened, it means that you stepped over an event tile that made that thing trigger. I guess as a safety net, as a safety precaution, the event tiles do not advance the danger rate to prevent random encounters from messing up with the cutscene. So you will notice here that if I walk back on this, I didn't advance the danger rate, but walking around it does. That's just a quality of event tiles. And these are critical to know on a step route, because you may inadvertently step over an event tile and mess up the entire step manipulation, and just because you weren't aware of the event tile existing in the first place. So the game is chock full of event tiles, so I will try my best to pinpoint them. At worst, I will edit in the references if I forget to mention it. But there is just some problematic ones that you are probably gonna have to memorize. For this particular event tile, I guess we'll have to walk through that again. For that particular event tile, you want to avoid it. Once you reach the tile, you want to walk left, and then continue walking normally through the dungeon. So if everything has been done correctly up to this point, you will get an encounter on this exact tile with a couple of stroppers and a steel bat, which means our step manip is A-okay, good to go. We can continue. And there is no step routing done in this dungeon. It's just a beeline to the end, taking the shortest path possible. That's something very nice about this step manipulation. You did the bulk of the step route while in Boko with the running speed, so it's an efficient way of clearing things. Okay, we got the pirates now. This is a safe room, you can misstep here. And now let's just hijack the ship. And notice nothing happens with NPC movement around to the danger rate. Like the danger rate is just waiting for you to take over. I am stressing this a lot because I feel that's something people worry about too much when learning this game with the step manipulation. Like only you can affect the step manip. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Alright, with all that, we should have covered the intro sequence.